Hey, welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Ultimate Affiliate Marketing. I'm your host. It's Paul Motley here. And today we have a special guest. I say special guest because this guy has been around for a while now. I'm not going to reveal his age. I'm not going to say he's anything like that, but he does know his stuff. So I'm super pleased to get him on the show. He hosts his own podcast, but also has an amazing affiliate story to tell us. So Matt Wolfe, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
No worries, dude. No worries. Let me just jump straight into it. Now, we were just talking a little bit there off camera, and obviously people that are watching on YouTube are getting a little bit more of a fuller experience because obviously it's going out on the podcast. So if you're listening, just try and paint a picture as Matt tells us all this wonderful stuff about affiliate marketing. What sort of got you into do affiliate marketing to start with? Because I would guess growing up, it's probably not on your list of 5 things you want to be, right? You know, as a kid, it's always like they ask you, they say, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? My number one was always Spider-Man, right? People will say, astronaut, policeman, fireman, and all that sort of thing. And I don't remember anyone turning around and saying, well, I want to work online, right? So what got you started, man?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, as a kid, I don't even know if affiliate marketing was a term that existed yet. I mean, maybe, but I don't know. So I've always been a sort of computer nerd kind of person, right? When I was, I don't know, I don't remember timelines too well, but when I was, let's say 11 or 12 years old, we got our first computer in our house, and I was just obsessed with it, right? And it was the type of computer that had the big square floppy disks, and the whole thing was like 4 megabytes was the whole hard drive, and
Oh,
and
fun
that
times.
whole deal. But I fell in love with it. And my next door neighbor growing up, his mom was a computer programmer. She actually wrote in C++
Wow.
and QBasic and all of those kinds of platforms. And my neighbor as a kid, when he got in trouble, his punishment for doing something bad was he would get grounded, and he had to go write a software program that did X, and then he can be off of grounding once he wrote this software. And it was simple stuff like, make me a little animation of somebody throwing a basketball through a hoop kind of thing, right? And as soon as he finished programming it in whatever programming language he was using, he was allowed to come out of his being grounded. And so I had this next door neighbor who was the same age as me, but was learning computer programming at age like 10, 11, somewhere in there. And he started teaching me that stuff. So I
Yeah.
actually learned how to program in QBasic and C++ and machine language and all these various things on a PC when I was 11 or 12. And I was just hooked on computers ever since. So while I wasn't aspiring to be in affiliate marketing, I always kind of knew whatever I ended up doing, I was probably going to be at a computer.
Well, I've got to tell you straight off there, man. I mean, if that had been my parents making me go off and do that as punishment, I'd probably still be there.
Yeah.
Right? There would be the longest lockdown on record. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you
Yeah.
say like obviously, I mean, you're well into computers and stuff like that. So I have to ask,
Mhm.
were you around like when consoles came out? Which side? This is a polarizing question here for you. So was it Atari or Amiga?
Yeah, that's a little before my time. My first system was an NES. So
All right, then. Okay, I'm showing my age now. That's fine.
yeah. I had friends that had an Atari when I was a kid, but the first thing I ever got was the NES system with like Mario and Excite Bike and all that stuff.
Ah, cool. That's fine. That's fine. I was born in the 70s, man. It sounds way out, doesn't it? That crazy. I am old. Right. Okay, I get it. So going on from that, then, obviously, you were brought up in the generation where handhelds started getting there. Everyone's getting connected through the TV. You got all this program and stuff, and then suddenly the internet happened,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that just made a whole difference to everyone's life, I think. And even now going forward, it's like pretty much everybody uses the internet, whereas you go back 10 or even 15 years ago, it was still quite taboo. People were scared to order anything online, and you hit submit and it was only like $10 or something like that, but you think your bank could get wiped. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was this sort of like, oh my god, I'm so scared. um
Yeah.
where did that go from there to you getting into sort of like affiliate marketing specifically?
Yeah, so I mean, the first time when I actually started making money online, I actually figured out how to sort of generate some income off of those old, like, I don't know if you remember, like Angel Fire and Tripod and I can't remember all of them, but there was a whole bunch of different like free platforms that you can go blog on. And I was into gaming when I was younger, so I actually created websites about games like the original Warcraft game and StarCraft and various video games that I was into at the time. And I discovered this. There was a tool called like Link Exchange where you put your a banner from somebody else's website on your site, and they'd put your banner on their site, and it would sort of rotate through everybody in the network. And that's actually how we drove traffic when I used to build sites like that. And then I found these websites where you can put like banner ads on your site, and then when somebody clicked on that banner ad, then you'd get like 2 cents for that click. And over time that would add up, and I was like 15 years old, and I was having checks mailed to my house for like $30-$40 a month or something like that off of these
Amazing.
websites.
Yeah.
So that was where that was like that was, I don't remember when that was. I'm 38, so I'll put that context there. I'm 38 right now, so if people want to try to reverse engineer the math of when this stuff happened, I don't remember. But I was basically putting these banners on the website and making money for the clicks. But my dad at the same time, he also had this shutter company, like window covering shutters, right? And
Oh,
so while I was growing up,
I got to stop you there because
yep.
the bricks and mortar business I had was window dressings and internal wooden shutters. That was it. 24 years I did that for.
Really?
Yeah.
That is random. Yeah, I worked in the shutter company for about 13 years. So
Wow.
so while I was working there, it actually the company actually ended up going under. In 2008 there was the housing crisis, and then in 2009 people weren't buying shutters and people weren't spending as much money on their homes and things like that, and the company actually ended up going under. And when the company was getting close to going under, that was my sort of fuel to go full time and pursue the internet stuff. I had been doing it all along since I was a little kid, just kind of on the side while I was working at the shutter company. And then when I saw the writing on the wall that this company was sort of on its last legs, I left the company and decided I was going to pursue some sort of internet career full time. I hadn't fully fleshed out what that was going to look like yet, but I was like, I'm just going to burn the ships behind me and see what I can make of myself. And that led me down the rabbit hole of blogging and content marketing and growing an email list off the back of my content marketing. And so in 2009, when I quit my job, I created a website called the WordPress Classroom, where I taught people how to set up their WordPress blogs and that sort of thing. And I think I sold it for like $10, like one-time fee, $10. You can get my entire course on how to build WordPress. But when somebody got into this, I was telling them, okay, go sign up for a HostGator account for your hosting. Go buy this plugin to help you with your opt-ins. Go get an Aweber autoresponder for your emails. And I was recommending all of these tools. And it was through people going through this training course and buying affiliate products while inside my course that I really started to get ramped up and excited about affiliate marketing and going, I've got this course here, which I'm selling for $10, and I've got to do customer support on it, right? I got to answer people's questions when they can't log in, or if they want a refund because they didn't like it, or there's some sort of technical issue, or one of the videos is outdated, right? Like when you're making training courses on things like WordPress, if WordPress makes an update and it no longer looks like your video, people start complaining. You get all those issues when you're selling courses. So I was looking at my affiliate income going, I could promote these products. And when I promote them, I don't deal with the customer support. I don't deal with the updates. I don't deal with, any of the team that behind any of it. And then I've got my course, which I'm making less money off of right now than I am off the affiliate stuff. And this is a major pain in my ass, right? So that was really the catalyst for like going deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole for affiliate marketing for me. And that was really the genesis of going, I'm going to go kind of all in on affiliate marketing.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I think that's what a lot of people forget as well, because you can create your own product and then load it up with affiliate offers and the back end. And I think, so many people are just almost fixated, if you like, on trying to get the whole, front end offer with the affiliate marketing stuff. And then it can be difficult from there. Now, we seem to have lost Matt. I don't know if he's still there or not. So we're just going to
I can still hear you, and
Oh, there we
everything
go.
looks and sounds good still.
He's still here. It's all right. You froze. So yeah, that was kind of interesting. So if you can still hear me, then that's awesome. And then hopefully I can still hear you. So what advice would you give to people if they were trying to get started right now? And he's gone. Okay, right. We're going to pause this for a second, and he's back.
Okay. So Zoom just kicked me out, and just like Zoom just went boop and shut down, and then eventually came back up.
Good old that technology we've been raving on about. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's so awesome until it boots you.
Exactly.
I was on a live video earlier on. It happened earlier on too. So it does it. It does it. Anyway, so what I was going to ask you was, now the podcast that people are ramping into us at the moment, they're not kind of like, it's aimed towards people which are already started out, but they might not be seeing the results that they want just yet. Mm-hmm. So how would you ramp it up in a way that you could position yourself as an expert so that they could use the whole, I mean, I'm a big fan of Mike Dillard, right? The whole mm-hmm. attraction marketing, magnetic marketing type of thing. How would you go about starting it? Would it be with a podcast? Would it be with a blog? What would be your sort of like your chosen source if you had to do it again?
Yeah, I mean, knowing what I know now, I would go, for me personally, I would go podcast, but that's more of the personal decision of like what has the least amount of friction for me. You know, like I would go content marketing in some form. For some people, I would recommend video if you love making video, or podcasting if you like audio. When I first started, it was all written blog posts. And then a couple years into it, I realized I can spend a lot less time making content if I just talk to people and record those conversations. So for me, podcasting was just a shortcut to content marketing. And that was really why I went down the podcasting route. Is to me, it just felt like a lot less friction to just record conversations that I might be having anyway, put those out into the world. And now I don't need to spend 2 days crafting a blog post. Yeah. So, but I do think that's sort of a personal choice. I do think there's some people out there that will probably, writing is better for them, and some people video is better for them. Podcasting just is kind of where I landed, because I like to talk to people, and I like to sort of get ideas from others. I'm somebody who's a fan of being a curator versus like somebody who's trying to be the thought leader, right? Like I'm somebody who's always put focus into growing the network and then putting thought leaders on my network and being a curator. And I grow fans through curation versus being the guy that everybody goes to.
Got it. Yeah. And obviously now that you've made that switch almost, I don't know if it's like an 80-20, or you're just doing the podcast now specifically, and the blogging stuff kind of like gets outsourced or left alone. I don't know where that goes with it, but how would you suggest, because obviously I've been doing this podcast for a while, and a few of the listeners have since started podcasts of their own as well. Mm-hmm. The biggest question that comes back to me is how to actually start monetizing a podcast.
Yeah. So we monetize our podcast in multiple ways, and affiliate marketing is really just one of the ways. So we monetize this podcast, or the Hustle and Flowchart podcast, our show. We monetize it through a membership. So we have an actual membership that people can sign up, and it's a monthly or an annual subscription. And basically what that membership is it's an extension of the podcast. So the people that are like real kind of true fans of the show that really tune in a lot, they're the ones that are most likely to be members, because what we do with that membership is we repurpose the podcast content into like Cliff's notes of every episode. So it's not a transcription. It's somebody listens to the episode and took detailed like notes on the episode. So you can literally read the notes of each episode without listening and get all of the takeaways and tactics and everything from the episode, except you can read the notes in 10 minutes versus tuning into the episode for an hour. Right. So that's one way we monetize is that sort of membership model where you're buying notes to the episode. The other sort of two ways that we monetize are through affiliate marketing and through like rev share and equity deals, which in our mind is just the next phase of affiliate marketing. It's like affiliate marketing, you're going to make commissions off of the sales that you drive the traffic to. The sort of equity deals, you're going to make a sale of the whole company, right? Yeah. So when we get really, really deeply involved with a company, a lot of times it will start as an affiliate deal. And as they see what kind of traffic and what kind of sales we can help them generate, eventually it evolves into more of an advisory rev share kind of deal. Yeah. Right. So those are really the three core things.
Negotiate with them a little bit more. And I've seen that there was a guy that came on the podcast probably about a year ago now, and his affiliate marketing really was basically he was a golf pro, and he
Mhm.
recommended certain golf products. So that's all he did. His whole show was just golf stuff, and then he
Yep.
would have a link to this golf shop where he would get a commission from, and it started going really well. So he was then able to go to the store and renegotiate his own commission level, which immediately gave him an income boost. So
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
yeah, so I'm guessing from his point of view, if the podcast got to a point where it was getting so many downloads, he could then, go and look to renegotiate again. But that's talking proper high level stuff. Was that something that you'd set out to do, or is it just something that happened?
Yeah, actually, when we started our podcast, so Joe and I have been podcasting. My co-host is Joe Fier. We've been podcasting since 2010. This podcast that we're doing now, Hustle and Flowchart, started in January of 2017. So the month that we're recording this here is actually our 4-year anniversary of this podcast starting. But when so I specifically remember a meeting where Joe and I sat in a conference room in front of a whiteboard, and we mapped out, this is what we want our business to look like. We want to have a podcast. We want to grow a huge audience off this podcast, and we want to monetize it through affiliate marketing. And we want to monetize it through essentially being advisors on people's companies, right? Like they bring us on as an advisor. And by being an advisor, they get access to our network. We will evangelize their products on our podcast, and we'll get like a small percentage of the whole pie. But really the long play there is, if those companies, or when those companies exit, we get a piece of that exit as well, right? That's the sort of bigger picture that we're working on with those. Is we're not really that interested in the ongoing rev share. We want to work with them because we know they all have the potential to really have an exit one day that could create larger windfalls for us. But we mapped that out 4 years ago on a whiteboard of, this is what we're creating the podcast to do. That was our initial intention, was to create the podcast, network with a lot of people, connect with a lot of people, get the opportunity to pick people's brains, but also leverage it into sort of, how do we get equity in companies as a result of this podcast? So in that sense, that was a very, very methodical decision we made in the beginning of the podcast.
That's awesome, man. And I always say that you're not serious in business until you have a whiteboard. Right?
So true.
Otherwise, it's just notes on pieces of paper, and you end up losing them. And it goes in a folder somewhere, and you find it 10 years later, and you go, that's what I was going to do. Dang.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Now, I mean, I just had a brief look through the site, and you've had some amazing names on there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that is easier for you guys because of the size of the podcast, or is it more of a, just keep knocking on the door until they open?
Yeah, I'd say it's more of the latter there. I think it really is. We just kind of keep going after people. I mean, to be honest, most of our guests have no idea how many downloads we get. They don't know how big the podcast is. I think there's a buzz around our podcast where a lot of times we will go to people and invite them on the show, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I've heard of that. Right. So we kind of have a, I've heard of that factor.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like, we are just kind of, when it comes to networking, I would say my co-host Joe, that's his true superpower. Is he is just the ultimate networker. He knows everybody. He knows somebody who knows everybody. And so our podcast, we sort of leveled up and leveled up and leveled up with our guests, but it was really kind of like him kind of connecting with everybody for so long. But then also we'd bring on a really great guest, and then afterwards we would say, hey, do you know anybody else who'd be a great guest? They would introduce us to some other A player, right? And then we bring them on, and it was this kind of snowball effect where we kept on getting introduced to high level people, and now our show is just kind of, that's mostly who's on there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. That's awesome. So we're going to wrap it up now, because I know your time is precious, and I totally appreciate you being here. I love the story that you gave out earlier on about the whole starting out with, punishments and creating code,
Yeah.
and getting into computers and everything else like that. So if you just want to give us a rundown, let me know, or let everyone know, first off, where they can get access to the show itself, and if there's any of the websites that they need to go and check out to get some more information.
Yeah, so if you just go to hustleandflowchart.com, that'll get you to the show. If you're on an iPhone, it'll take you to iTunes. If you're on an Android, it'll take you to Spotify. If you're on a computer, it'll take you to our website. So hustleandflowchart.com should get you to the right place, no matter which device you're on. And if you tune into the podcast and start listening into what we're talking about, you'll sort of get directed to where you can discover more. But our audience is mostly affiliate marketers, and most of the people we're talking to now are we're diving deep into, okay, if you were an affiliate marketer, how would you approach things? And so we really are kind of geared in towards that topic. So if you're in, I'm sure your listeners love affiliate marketing, so
Oh yeah.
maybe they can add us into the mix as well.
Awesome, Matt. That's great. And I'm going to make sure that we include that those links there right in the show notes as well, or in the description if you're watching on YouTube. But for right now, Matt, it's been awesome having you on the show. I totally appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.